There we go. And the hangout is live. No, there we go. Hi, my name is May. Thanks for joining in live this beautiful Wednesday morning. It is 6:30 a.m. and we are now live on Facebook, Instagram, and answer on various topics. Oh, you answer on Quora. That's good. So we have Network Ace on. Mees and Khan. Oh, thanks for being a super fan. Thanks for being live. Appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about Elon Musk. My name is May Dulda, if you didn't know who I was. And I live in Honolulu, Hawaii. Yeah, it was good to have a conversation with you, Network Ace. So I live in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I do these hangouts really early in the morning to discuss how to become wealthy, how to become financially free. And I do it this time because I'm a mom. That's one of my important things in my life is being a mom. So I'm a mom, and my son is asleep right now. So that's why I do these hangouts really early, because when he's awake, if you, I don't know if there are any mothers watching this or parents, but when you have a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old or a really young kid who's awake and needs you to feed him and clean him, it's just you're constantly working and you just don't have time to to do anything. So I just wanted to let you know that's why I do these so early in the morning. And I've been doing live webinar hangouts on this topic for about 3 years now, I guess, but I've been in internet marketing for a while. And the reason I started this journey was because I wanted to make money online and create an income from home so that I could stay home and raise a family and be home. And plus to have time to myself. You don't look like a mom. You seem like you're in your mid-20s. There's a lot of mothers who are in their mid-20s. Anyway, that was so funny. So yeah, so I'm a mother, and I have a 3-year-old son named Jordan. Jackson Simpson, welcome to Periscope, and thanks for being on. Tap the screen, give me some hearts. So, hi there, where are you from? So anyway, when I started my journey on internet marketing, I was really looking for any way to make money too. Although I really loved internet marketing because I was like, internet marketing is cool. I can do it from home. You can create a lot of money. Like, thanks for following. Hi, 808 coverage. Welcome to Scope. You can do a lot of things online you can't do in a job, right? Your job, your income is set. When you're online, you could sell like a million things that cost $1, make $1 million, right? You could do crazy stuff like that online. So anyway, when I started my story toward financial freedom, that was about the same time I started my internet business. You're also working from home to stay with your parents. Oh, see, that's cool. That was a really good story. Yeah, my mom, I live with my mom right now too. Kate Spade, 111, welcome to the Scope. She lives with us. So when I started my journey toward financial freedom was back when I also started this internet marketing business, honestly. I had a job in teleconsulting service. So what happened was I was really, really deep in debt because I was learning all these new things like internet business and all these kind of things that I was doing. And wow, that is so cool. So someone else wanted to stay with their family in India. So they have an online business. And so I like this progress. Wish we were famous. You know, I talked to someone from my Periscope followers. Hi, Bastard 4269. And he told me I have to watch what I say because I'm already famous. So so I guess it depends on your point of view. You're famous or not. Anyways, so what happened was this. I would overdraft my rent check. I would overdraft my my utilities check. Okay, I would overdraft 3 times in a day. Pay $90 in overdraft fees. I would cry. I remember the day that I overdrafted, I think 2 or 3 times. I remember seeing it, and I worked at the bank at a time. Okay, a bank. And if you overdraft too much, you might get fired. So I was like nervous I would lose my job. All right, I was nervous I would lose my job. It would all be over. I remember a friend inviting me lunch, and I met him for lunch, and he's like, "Bye, never guys, thanks for joining." And I remember him asking me, you know, how are you doing today? And all I did was cry. That's the first thing I did was cry. And he's like, "What's wrong? How you to P-Door?" And I was like, you know, I'm having a really bad day. I suck with money. I'm doing terrible. You know, I overdrafted. I might lose my job. I'm just nervous. And I just hate that I'm so stressed out about money, you know? And I don't usually cry when I meet friends for lunch. But that day I was like, you know, super stressed out. So, hi, More Real. Hi, guys. Welcome to Scope. So anyways, that was like the low of lows. That was like the low of my life. I remember about a week later, I went and I went into my boss's office to explain to him why I was overdrafting so much, so he wouldn't fire me, right? And this is what he told me. And I was working at a bank, okay, mind you guys, right? I was working at a bank, but I was terrible with my money. He told me, do you know what your net worth is? And I was like, no, I don't even know how to calculate it. So he gave me this sheet on net worth, and he's like, calculate your net worth. And they also told me to apply for a personal loan credit to pay off these credit cards that I was having difficulty paying off. So that was how I learned how to do net worth. So I wrote down everything I had, everything I owed. I found out my net worth was about negative 23,000 at the time. And I didn't have NRP Solutions. Welcome. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for the hearts. So I had net worth of negative 23,000, all credit card debt, you know, and I was like, wow, interesting. So that was the reason I was always bad with money. I was spending more than I made. I had a negative net worth. Then I did a personal loan consolidate. Then I actually got into more credit card debt. So he taught me how to consolidate debt, and then I did that, and then I cleaned up my cards, and I got into more debt again, and it was terrible. Thanks for all the heart. So after that, I was like, you know what? This is horrible. I need to make a real change. I need to stop overspending. I need to create wealth in my life. I am done with this like feeling crappy about money thing. It's over. So I really started taking to heart a lot of the principles I've learned. Thanks for so many hearts. I really appreciate the support. So I started really focusing, you know, on everything I learned from all the books I'd read, from seminars. I started going to seminars too, Millionaire Mind Intensive. I went to all these different personal growth, money awareness things. I read a lot of books. I followed a lot of people. I talked to a lot of mentors. I just started doing everything they told me. I stopped being a dork and doing what I wanted to do, and I started doing what they said. Hi, Grinch01. So long story short, today, my net worth is over $100,000. So that's my combined net worth with my whole family and everything. My personal net worth, not including my husband or our joint accounts or anything like that, is about over $80,000. Right? So I went from negative like 30 something thousand to positive 80 something thousand in about 6 years. And this is why my house in Hawaii. Oh, you have a house in Hawaii and you're not here. That's too bad. You should come back. So crazy, right? I improved my net worth about $100,000 in 5 to 6 years. Not only that, from that time, five years ago, like I said, I used to work a job and I was afraid of getting fired. That was my mental state at the time. In December of 2016, I actually quit my job because I actually was really good at my job, really good. And I quit because I was moving on to making more money in other ways. And one of those ways is teaching other people how to create financial freedom. I never went to Hawaii and other places. I went to Clearwater. Cool. So thanks, Jackson Simpson. So what really happened to me was that I just had a mental shift, and I just started doing the things that wealthy people do. I started creating passive income. At one point, my family was making about $1,000 a month of passive income. That was about, I'd say, 4 years ago. And then our dividends went down, and then they stabilized as I got better at dividend investing. And so now we make about $514 a month combined household dividend income. And I know that because I track it really precisely now. $514 a month. So it took us about 5 years to learn passive income investing, dividend investing. So we make passive income monthly, which we pay ourselves. And on top of that, I quit my job to do this as my part-time business. I don't do this full-time. I am still a full-time mom. Hi, Anthony619. And I am completely debt-free as of April of 2016. That means no debt, zero debt. And remember, I had like a net worth of negative 33,000 at its worst, which means my consumer debt was roughly $50,000 because I did have some money in my net worth. So I did have some assets. So my debt was pretty substantial. Now I paid off roughly about $50,000 in debt over the last six years or so. So that's my story. Kind of a rags to riches, although I'm not exactly a billionaire yet. We're not millionaires yet, although our net worth has improved substantially. It's improved over $500,000 in the last 5 years. And I was working a bank job. And my husband doesn't work a crazy, he's a director of hospice, director of community relations, a hospice company here in Hawaii. But I mean, he doesn't have like the kind of salary that we would improve our. It's just amazing to me that we improved our net worth that much in 5 years. But if you take some of the things we do in these that I talk about in these lives, also the replays of all these broadcasts are on yesfinanciallyfree.com, which is my blog. You can also learn more about the things I do for training. I have masterminds where I help people learn how to make passive income, pay off debt, and improve their net worth. Real people in real life groups. You go to financefreedommastermind.com. That's my website. Financefreedommastermind.com. Hi, Smithy. You can see a video of my story, and also you can learn some lessons about what I did to pay off all my debt and increase my net worth and create passive income all at the same time so that I could be a stay-at-home mom. And I also work out every day now, and you know, my life is just so much less stress. We're buying property now at first place. That's the most stress I've had recently. But it's really interesting to go from like really poor and just not knowing what to do to finally being able to create money and wealth and not worry about money as much anymore. So now we're going to talk about today's topic, and that is Elon Musk. All right. Put some money on Tesla stocks. Buy 3 to 5 shares if you have some extra money. Someone is telling me to buy Tesla stocks. Tesla is a cool cat company. So let's talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk, you know, I couldn't even remember his name. I just knew that he was called the real life Iron Man, right? Because I remember I was watching Iron Man. Someone was like, you know, Elon Musk, he's the real life Iron Man. I'm like, there's a real life guy who's Iron Man? That is so cool. Does that mean there's a guy who puts on a suit and like flies around in the sky? You know, so I'm like, I want to learn about this guy. So I wanted to learn about Elon Musk because I heard that he was the real life Iron Man. And I've seen the movies, you know, and I was like, oh, I want to find out more. And I wanted to study more about billionaires. Okay. So I get this book. I finally figure out his name is Elon Musk. It takes me forever. Hi, Ida3438. Welcome to the scope. And I listened to the audiobook. It takes me about a week and a half to finish the whole thing. Hi, Dave Decline692. Welcome to the scope. I have to admit, I was like so addicted to this book. It was so good. Like I was just like listening to everything in it. I thought it was the most amazing, interesting, enthralling book ever. So I highly recommend you get it. It's called Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and the Quest for a Fantastic Future, and it's written by Ashlee Vance. Ashlee Vance, Ashlee Vance. So after reading this book, I realized that this is the guy who wants to go to Mars. So let's talk about Elon Musk. Let's talk about this Mars thing he's doing. Hi, Noni88 Michelle. Welcome. Hi, Iman Nikai Designs and Automobile Repair. Wow, lots of people joining in on Instagram. That's cool. So let's talk about Elon Musk and his crazy ideas about going to Mars and colonizing Mars. One of the things that I learned about Elon that really sticks to me about billionaires and how they become wealthy is that Elon Musk, he is a man with a real determined dream. Okay, he has a vision in his head and he knows what he wants. And his vision includes saving planet Earth and the people on planet Earth. And that if that means moving them to another planet, and keeping the environment as clean as possible. Hi, Ken, welcome to the show. So that people can survive and thrive as a human race. So that's what he thinks about. So this guy doesn't think small kind things, all right? He doesn't think about what am I going to eat for lunch today, you know? Like most people think about what they're going to eat for lunch today or whatever. I notice that happens a lot. People get really consumed by thoughts of their food. He doesn't think about that. I mean, I'm sure he does, but he also thinks very largely about the future of the human race. Now, this is what motivates him above and beyond anything else. And he really had, I think it said in the book, he had this existential struggle of why he was living and what he wanted to do. And he had that struggle when he was just a kid. When he was like 14 years old or something like that. And he realized he wanted to add to the growing knowledge and to improve the condition of the human race, which I think is very amazing and noble. So let's talk about him. He was born in South Africa. Okay, and the book talks about like his parents and his grandparents. It's really fascinating because his grandparents were like explorers, and they explored all over with this plane. They flew this plane and explored all over, and they ended up settling in South Africa. And so that's how he ended up being in South Africa. But so it's like an adventurer family grandparent. But when he grew up in South Africa, his parents got divorced. He ended up living with his father, and his father, I guess, was kind of hard to live with. He doesn't get interviewed for the book, and he tells the author not even to interview him. So it's kind of like a hard ass guy, I guess. But he was raised by he decided to move away from his mom and move in with his dad because no one was with his dad, and he felt like all the kids were with the mom, so he went to be with his dad. And then his brother came along too. So they were raised by the dad. He went to pretty tough schools, especially middle school. He was beaten up a lot. At one point, he was thrown down a flight of stairs, because he was really geeky. And he had this habit of just like staring off into space and ignoring you because he was imagining things, envisioning things in his head. So he was very not the usual kind of guy. So anyways, he goes through school, goes through high school, and then no one really thinks he's going to be a billionaire later on. He's just not very impressive, I guess, in their standards. He goes off, and he graduates from high school. He decides he wants to go to America because that's the place to be to create a real change in the world, right? So he ends up going to Canada first, and he goes to school in Canada, meets this girlfriend who eventually becomes his wife, and then he goes to Penn State, and he gets a degree there. And then after that, he goes to California. He gets into Stanford, doesn't go to Stanford. He goes to California, and he starts up a startup company, and that company is called Zip2, ZIP, and the number 2. Zip2 is all about a mapping software, right? So they create this software where they map out everything, right? And then they tell you how to get from one place to another. So it's basically the technology behind MapQuest and Google Maps and all that. They created that technology. In fact, his mother was the one who was like, can we reverse directions? Like, if we want to go to somewhere, can we hit a button just to go back? So his mother was the one who suggested that. So he worked on the technology that's used for all maps today. And that was his first successful company, his first startup, Zip2. He did it with a buddy from college. Hi, Dave DeKine, 692. Welcome back. So he's working on this company, Zip2, and he's a programmer. And he's like pounding away, creating the software. They found the maps from another company, gave them the maps. They were developing those. And they were working on this interface. Finally, they got investors to come in, and they came in and they helped them raise the money to create a real company. They were a company, but they got funding, and after it all, he ended up losing control of the company. They replaced him with somebody else as the person in charge of it, and he was really upset about it and all that. But what happened was they sold it. They sold the company, and he was really happy about that because he got to dig out, and I think he made about $10 million or something like that. So he became one of those Silicon Valley millionaires, right? Created a startup, became a millionaire, bought a fancy car, did stuff like that. And then he took all his money and he decided to invest in another company. And that company was called X.com. And he wanted to do banking. All right, so he wanted to do one place online you go to do all your banking. It would be your bank accounts. He made a mutual fund in there. He wanted to centralize a place for all banking. Hi, Panda, 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 welcome. And he has a lot of interesting ideas on banking. And because I used to work at a bank, I was reading about all the things he was doing in banking. I was like, so interesting, right? And he was talking about how it would be great if there was one place you could go to where everything was cheaper, like your transactions were cheaper. You didn't have to pay for Hi, welcome to the scope. Didn't quite catch your name. But thanks for joining in. And he talked about how to make banking simpler, easier for people, all online, quicker transactions, like fast paced, and more secure than just a regular bank. So that was his dream. and they ended up merging with this other company called PayPal, right? So X.com and PayPal, they were like working down the street from each other. PayPal, you know what PayPal is? It's like a transactional service that was created. So they were kind of similar in nature, and they ended up merging together. And they merged together, started working on. They called themselves X.com, and it kept going on that way. Became a more sustainable business model. And then later on, when he went on a honeymoon with his wife, he got axed out of control of X.com, and I guess the old CEO of PayPal got put in there, or somebody, I forgot, got put in charge. I think it was the old CEO of PayPal, I'm not sure. And while he was out, and then when he came back, he was no longer CEO of this, and they changed the name from X.com to PayPal again. And now we know this company right now as PayPal, although he feels like it's a disappointing company because it never really became a banking platform, and now it's really just transactional, where he envisioned it being a real bank. And he said one of the biggest limitations was they wouldn't give people checkbooks, right? You don't get a checkbook, you can't use them as a bank, because everyone needs a checkbook. They need some checks, not a lot, and if you don't issue checks, they're going to go to another bank. And that was one of the limitations on PayPal. So anyways, thanks for the hearts. So he was one of the people behind the current PayPal. He had invented X.com with his partners, and then PayPal, and then merged X.com, then became PayPal. Then PayPal got sold. Okay, PayPal. Hi, Douglas. Welcome to the show. So PayPal got sold to eBay, right? So when PayPal got sold to eBay, they made a lot of money, and that's when Elon Musk first became a billionaire. Okay, so his share in the company, when it got sold, he had, like, I don't know how much money. I don't know if he was a billionaire yet from that sale. I think so. I can't remember anymore. But anyway, the sale of PayPal gave him a lot more capital. Oh, Scotland, welcome. We're talking about Elon Musk. So PayPal gets sold out, right? And then they have a lot more money to work with. He has a lot more money to work with on his own. He decides to invest all his money. He decides to get into space, all right? Why does he want to get into space? Why did he sell? Did he have to? Well, the reason they sold PayPal, and he wasn't the only owner of PayPal. There were a lot of investors. It was a public company. He was one of the majority shareholders, though. They sold PayPal to eBay, and he was okay with the sale at the time because he was waiting for the price to go up high enough that it would make them a lot of money, and it did. And they sold to eBay, and he didn't mind because he was more interested in space. Okay, he was more interested in other projects, so he kind of lost interest in it, and he was more interested in traveling to Mars and colonizing Mars. Okay, so all the different key people in it involved were okay with selling it at the time. They made their money, moved on. So he took a lot of his money. I don't think he was a billionaire yet. I think he was still multi-millionaire. But he ended up wanting to colonize Mars. All right. Why does he want to colonize Mars? Because he's afraid the human race is going to destroy itself. Hi, Romans. Okay, welcome to the show. He's afraid that the human race is going to destroy itself by being just stupid, by polluting the planet and just doing dumbass things, maybe atomic annihilation, who knows. Hi, Prayden Ho 2017. So he wants the human race to have another place to go, Mars, where they can colonize Mars and continue thriving if the Earth doesn't work out. There's massive destruction, whatever happens, global warming, these things. So his mission is to send people to Mars and colonize it. But so what he does is he starts researching how to get a rocket to send mice to Mars. Is his first idea. He goes to Russia. He actually hires this guy who used to work in the government. I forgot his name, but he had connections in Russia. Brought him with him, and his brother came along just to make sure he wasn't crazy. And they went to the Russians and tried to negotiate to buy a rocket so they could send these mice to Mars. During those negotiations, he realized that it was a lot cheaper. He factored in all these costs and wrote out a diagram about how he could make rockets cheaper than buying them from Russia. And he could make low-cost rockets. And they could dominate the rocket business. This is where he got his reputation for being the real-life Iron Man. Hi, HHOS56. So what they do, by that time he will be dead, as this is a bit far off. You would think so, but he already so he created SpaceX. He put like $10 million into SpaceX, started creating this company where they create rockets. And they did send off their first rocket. I think it was 5 years after he started the company. I don't remember the exact timing, but he started the company. He started making rockets. It took a while. It was I think it was their 4th attempt that finally went into space. Hi, Lexi Ayrton. In any case, the last attempt that went into space had to go into space because it didn't. The company was going to be bankrupt, and it made it into space. Hi there, Spicy. Welcome to Scope. And then now they're actually a very serious commercial viable company that makes rockets at a lower cost than NASA or Boeing. And okay, on an island isolated. Yeah, they shot the rocket off from an island out in the Pacific Ocean. Forgot the name of the island. Because they wouldn't let them use the base really close to them because this company is located in LA. And he couldn't even use the launching pad that Lockheed Martin and Boeing used and all that. So they had to find an island where they were allowed to shoot the rocket. They had to move everything over there, even though there was one close by. They wouldn't let them use it. Would Mars be a nice place to live if you're on Earth? Well, it depends on what you would like to live and what you think of it, I guess. But anyway, his goal is to colonize Mars. Right now, he does produce viable rockets. They shoot up. They were hired by NASA to send supplies to the International Space Station, which they did recently, I guess a few years ago or a couple years back. So they're actually now a viable company where they produce rockets, and they're hired not only by the United States but other countries. Trump will have blown us all up, so better get off the finger. Let's keep you all over the show. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he created SpaceX, and these rockets. Now he has a company, a viable company that shoots rockets up, hired by various different companies to send different things into orbit, like satellites and all kinds of things. And he markets these rockets at a much lower price than Boeing and Lockheed Martin because they manufacture the rockets in the United States. And the funny thing is, NASA was actually buying space technology like rockets from Russia, which made us dependent on our space technology from Russia, which is not exactly a good political position to be. So he's actually very patriotic in a sense, because even though he's not from the United States, but he is now based in the United States from South Africa. He created a company that creates rockets in the United States, manufactures them in the United States, designs them in the United States. So it's a United States-based company. So he brought space technology back to the United States and made the United States back on the lead of space technology along with China. So that's his story around SpaceX. He still wants to send people to Mars. At the end of the book, he talks about how he'd like to even maybe go to Mars when he's really old and stay there and maybe even die there. Hi, Stephen Ketno. Welcome to the show. It's really interesting. And he's trying to make the cost of going to Mars to be about, it's interesting. He said, it can't be too expensive, but if we make it like around $500,000 a person, then it's viable because people could just sell all their stuff on Earth and then just go to Mars. You know, just like go sell their house or sell those liquidate all assets and just get on a rocket and go to Mars and colonize Mars. And I remember when I heard about, when I was reading this, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I remember like, I forgot how long back, my brother wanted to go to Mars. And he's like, this guy's doing this project, looking for people to go to Mars. I'm going to try out for this project. I'm like, you want to go to Mars? Don't go to Mars. I'll never see you again, right? My brother's one of the people who wants to go to Mars. And I had no idea that Elon Musk was the guy behind this whole Mars thing. So that's what's going on there. So that really enlightened me on that. Now, Tesla, another big company. Elon Musk doesn't only do SpaceX. He does a lot of different interests. You know, he's an investor, a business maker now. He's really smart now too. He won't let SpaceX go public because he knows when you go public, the board of directors is in charge of the company, and then they might oust you or they might change the directive of the company. And SpaceX, he really wants SpaceX to go to Mars. So he's not going to go public until SpaceX is actually going to Mars. Because if it goes public, then someone might stop the whole Mars initiative and think it's crazy. Like a lot of you watching this now are like, Mars, that's crazy. Or like me. Since he's really serious about it, he's not going to go public with SpaceX. So the other company I want to talk about, Tesla. All right, so Tesla, he got really interested in solar power because he likes to create a more sustainable world where we're not going to all go extinct and destroy each other and kill each other. So he decided to look into electric cars. He wanted to create an electric car that was cool, that was fast, that was nice looking. Yes, let's talk about Tesla now. Okay, yep, we're going to talk about Tesla. So he did SpaceX. SpaceX is his like baby. Tesla is also one of his babies. Welcome back. So Tesla, he wanted to create a great electric car. Now, at the time when he was looking into it, electric cars, there were electric cars, but they weren't great. They would move, but they weren't fast. You know, people didn't think it was possible to make a really good electric car. All right. But he got hooked up with this guy who was working with lithium batteries. And the guy was hooking a bunch of lithium batteries together to create power. Just like a bunch of them all together. It was like, you know, putting them together to create more and more power. And he talked to this guy, and this guy was interested in creating an electric vehicle with this lithium battery technology he was thinking of. Hi, Gigi Volman. Welcome to the scope. So he decided to hook up with him and start working with creating an electric car. At the same time, there were these two guys who created Tesla, and they were working on also creating an electric car. Castor 56, welcome to the scope. So they were also working on creating an electric car that was viable, that was good looking, that was fast. And they needed funding for their vehicle. So they heard that Elon Musk was interested in electric cars. So they went and talked to Elon Musk about it. Elon Musk ended up being their biggest investor, putting in I don't know how many $1 million. Hi, Dima Trichkov, because he wanted to make an electric car. That was a great idea for the environment, everything. It was very in alignment with his vision of saving the human race, let's put it that way, from itself, like pollution and control by other countries, by oil interests, you know, things like that. So he ends up becoming a major shareholder in Tesla. They kind of combined forces, so these two guys created Tesla. He is a major shareholder now, and they find a factory. I think their factory is, I don't know if it's in LA or San Francisco. I think it's in San Francisco. Hi, Imana, 1977, welcome to the Silicon Valley-ish place. I forget exactly. Hi, Zulfikar 21. I think it is in San Francisco. And SpaceX is in LA, I know that. So what happens is they start developing the electric car. You know, it kind of gets out of control with spending. The guy who's in charge of Tesla, hi guys. So what happens is he ends up ousting the guy as CEO, and he replaces that guy with a different CEO who tries to actually tank out the company and sell it. And then he replaces that guy with another guy who is the current CEO of Tesla. The guy that owns Skinwalk Ranch in Ohio is into space. Those cars are so expensive as well that ever could afford. Yeah, so the model that he and the Tesla guys thought of was to create a luxury car. And a luxury car that was electric. Hi, Alcaster. Well, thanks for being a super fan. Thank you for being on the scope. So they decide they really want to create an electric car that's good looking, fast, you know, it could go to like 0 to 100 miles in 66 seconds or something like that. Hi, Goliath 002. It's attractive that rich people want to buy. All right. And they focus on rich people because they need to create this technology. They need to make it happen. They need to fund it. They're not going to start with, you know, cheap cars. They need to start with making the car and making it work. Hi, guys. Welcome to So they start taking orders for this amazing electric car they're going to make. Well, thanks for inviting. Awesome, awesome. So they start taking orders to create this electric car, and they charge everyone $100,000 a pop. So if you want an electric car, you can get on their waiting list, pay in $100,000. So they start gathering people. Actually, Elon Musk becomes a very good marketer of Tesla. He goes to they do auto shows, and they talk about the value of electric cars. They start recruiting. Oh, another thing Elon Musk's very good at, recruiting top talent at a low dollar amount. Hi, chicken chips, by selling them the vision of what he's doing, right? He got someone really talented who used to work in the government who he doesn't want us so, he realized, well, just one guy, I don't know anybody's names, by the way, sorry, or PS4, I'm not sure what you're talking about. So this guy in the government realized that a lot of conflicts in the United States and other places, like a lot of warfare and everything, is oil-based has to do with no idea why you're asking me that. So if you keep asking, I'll block you. Thanks. So he realized that a lot of conflicts the United States has with other countries is based on oil, based on fossil fuels, and he wanted to get rid of that dependence on oil and fossil fuels so that the United States has less conflict with foreign interests, more self-contained in its energy needs, right? So he joins Tesla, along with a lot of other high players. Hi, Shugarat, 1402, welcome to go. And hold on one second. I block someone. Okay, so moving on. So he ends up getting a lot of orders for this $100,000 car. It takes them years to finally produce it, right? And the first model is called the Roadster. He works on this car, finally gets it out, and the company almost goes bankrupt twice. Same with SpaceX, actually. They got saved because they got a contract from the U.S. government, and they got a contract from NASA that saved their butt, and that was in 2012. They both were going to go be bankrupt. And Tesla, oh, this is funny. It's not funny, but they almost went bankrupt as well. They almost couldn't do their payroll. He had to go through and get every shareholder to like add in, and a lot of them wouldn't. So finally, hi, financially intentional. Welcome to the live Instagram feed. So he goes in and he has them ask them to put up money, but one of the shareholders wouldn't do it because he wanted to force the company into bankruptcy so they could sell. Hello, Pastor. Thanks for being a super bad. You're welcome. So Donata, good morning and good day. Off to work. Okay, have a nice day at work. So he ends up changing it so not everyone contributes into the equity of the company. Instead, he asks for a debt round and he raises the money to save Tesla, like right before Tesla went bankrupt in 2012. Hi, Nikki, 2016 wellness go. Crazy stuff. So he's actually a very good businessman, very good at maneuvering, very good at handling people, divisiveness. He's really smart about running companies now that his company that he used to run got taken over by other people. He knows like the power dynamics. He knows how to recruit people. He knows how to carry a vision in his companies. Tesla finally creates this car, finally sends it out, and starts becoming one of the most valuable car companies in the world. Because of its technologies, BMW is now a shareholder in Tesla. Toyota is a shareholder in Tesla. A lot of companies use their technology now. That's why all these hybrids have been coming out. He made all of the technology in Tesla open source, so anyone can use it. Anyone can find it. The reason he did that is because it's not about money for him. It's more about creating electric cars that look good, that are fun to drive, and replacing our dependence on gas and oil. Robert Bigelow was the other name and the owner of Stephen Walker. He is doing this job. Ah, interesting. Thanks for letting me know. So he finally comes out with this cool car, and Tesla is finally successful. It's not just him, it's a lot of people, of course, but he's like the main guy, shareholder in Tesla. So that's what's going on with Tesla. And it becomes like the coolest place. They're designing SUVs, right? They're designing lower cost cars for the general public. And I have to admit, reading this book made me really want to get a Tesla. It's like, it's so cool what he does and all the time they take to perfect the car and everything. It's pretty neat. So that's basically it. That's SpaceX, that's Tesla. He, after finally launching into space and finally producing the cars for Tesla, the company's finally succeeded, right? So then he became a billionaire. So he's one of the wealthiest people in the world. And he's wealthy for a reason. He works his ass off. He really does. SpaceX is a cubicle. And when you walk in, it's just a bunch of cubicles. It's an open space. And he's a cubicle. And everyone can see everyone else. And everybody works in the same space. It's not like the bank I used to work in, which is very hierarchical. And they have like locked doors and CEO stays and all those people. Everything is open. And I guess that's a Silicon Valley characteristic, that everything is open and everyone can talk to each other and share what they need to do, and everybody has to get their job done. If they don't get their job done, they get fired. Because if they don't get their job done, the company will go bankrupt or it just won't make it. So he's very quick to like hire, and if you're not performing, to fire you. And if you don't do if he tells you something can be done and you don't do it, he will fire you, and then he will do it, and he will do the job, and he will actually get it done. So he's a real no-nonsense kind of guy, works a lot, workaholic. Currently, he's often homeless, so he often talks to Larry Page, the founder, the guy in charge of Google, and he'll crash his place and stay there. Sometimes he doesn't have a place to stay. He did get divorced from his first wife, married a second wife, and then divorced again, and then remarried. So I don't even know sometimes if he has a house. I think he has a house now, but during the divorce, he was kind of homeless, I guess. And he's shifting between cities a lot to do his two companies, and he oftentimes isn't at home. He works a lot. So he's a guy with a big, powerful vision. Oh, I forgot one more company, and then we're done. Solar City. So he had these friends who wanted to start a company with him from South Africa, and they ended up. He told them it's a good thing to do is solar power, and that's another thing that he integrated with Tesla. See, Tesla, he plans on creating these power stations all across the United States and the world that are charged with solar power, where you can charge your vehicle for free, right? And if you wanted to switch out your battery for a quicker charge, it takes about 20 minutes to charge your car, you can, and it'll be the cost of like a tank of gas to switch your battery out. So that's his vision, like a solar network powering station. And he's one of the largest shareholders in Solar City, which is one of the companies that made solar technology more affordable in the United States for all kinds of different consumer projects, commercial projects, offices, and buildings that needed to save on solar, making solar power more easy to get by leasing instead of purchasing the cells and things like that. Bigelow has launched 2 space models, Genesis 1 and 2. This company is Bigelow. It's cool. Thanks for telling me. They're on 67. Welcome, Stoke. So there we have it. He also is one of the largest shareholders in Solar City. He has a vision of creating like a solar-powered network where we can get off gas altogether. So I think he's really cool. The visions he has, the things he talks about, the companies that he is a part of, all really innovative, cutting-edge companies. He's really a master of what he does. He actually learned aerospace technology while he was running SpaceX so that he could understand what was going on in all the projects and help out and do what he could and really understand everything so he could get an idea of how to run the business better. So he's a really tough guy, really smart, very future driven, very vision oriented, very determined. And I think that's what makes him a billionaire. And he's willing to put it all down and risk everything to get some success in his businesses. Like he put all of his money down on SpaceX and Tesla, and then he had to find even more. Wow. Yeah. Hi, Punar. Welcome. So, really inspiring story. I highly recommend you read the book. Hold on one second, guys. I got a weirdo on. Highly recommend you read the book. It's really good. Okay? So, thank you for joining me today's live broadcast on Elon Musk. Highly recommend you get the book. I did the audiobook. Bigelow got money as he owns a budget suite. Oh, that's where he got his money. It's cool. So, anyways, thanks for joining me again. I'm going to sign off. It's a Wednesday morning. I've got lots to do. I have some mastermind today. Work with 4 students, helping them become financially free as quickly as possible. It is a mastermind buy. If you're interested in learning more about it, go to financefreedommastermind.com. And you can see the replay of my YouTube live video on my blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. Aloha, everyone. Take care, and it was great seeing you. Bye.